Okay guys, so we're just going to go ahead and start off by measuring out a 1-inch border. You guys will be working like this more than likely, but just so that way everything is shown on the camera screen, I'm going to have my paper adjusted horizontally, just so that way you guys can see what's going on. And you want to use a pencil for this part. I'm just going to use the Sharpie marker so that way you guys can clearly see my measurement marks as I'm making them. So with your ruler, you want to be sure that you are starting at the first tick mark, not the actual butt end of the ruler. So, alright, so I know a lot of you guys know how to use a ruler, but I always cover this. Whenever you're measuring for this class, remember that you want to measure starting at this little tick mark here. Never start with the edge of the ruler. If you do that, then everything's going to come out a little off and you'll be confused as to why. So remember, start measuring from this point here and onward. I'm just going to line it up with the edge of my paper since that is generally straight. And I'm just going to put a little tick mark at the 1 here. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. Another tick mark at the 1. Now you're just going to join that together. And that's going to give you your first part of a border. Okay, so next go ahead and do the same thing on this other side here. Going in 1 inch from that first tick mark of the ruler. And then again. Then you just join those together. Okay, so next we're going to be working with the sides here, and since that line we just threw down is straight, we can just line our ruler up with that. So again, 1 inch in. Since we already have it lined up, we can also do this other side here. So it's roughly 14, so we're just going to go in 1 inch to the 13-inch mark. Same thing up here. 1 inch in, and then another inch in. Go ahead and join those together. Okay, and you guys won't have these little marks here. If you have that whenever you're working with your pencil, you can easily erase them. I can't because I'm working with Sharpie so you guys can see what I'm doing. But now that you have your 1 inch border, you are going to go ahead and divide this inner area up within the 1 inch border by 5 by 4 inch little sections or rectangles. So if we measure in right here, we can see that the space between the 1 inch borders going horizontally is 12. So this inner space is 12, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So let's go ahead and put our 4 inch tick marks at the 4 and the 8. Then we're going to do the same thing up here. Again at the 4 and then the 8. Just go ahead and bring those lines together. Alright, so next, since we want 4 inch by 5 inch rectangles, we're going to go ahead and do the other side here, which the area between the 1 inch border within that area is 15. So in order to have 5 inch little boxes, we are going to divide that up by 5. So You're gonna have a mark at the 5, another mark at the 10. Same thing right up here. Mark at the 5, and then a mark at the 10. So we can go ahead and meet those lines together now. Alright, so you should have something that looks like this now. At this point, you're going to go ahead and do this to another sheet of your Bristol paper. So you should have 2 that look just like this. I'm going to go ahead and do my other one off camera since you guys already know what that looks like. Okay, so I have both pieces of Bristol paper mapped out. Next, all you're going to do is just put one of these aside. We're going to be working with it later on, so just put that in a safe place for right now. We're just going to be looking at one of these guys. Again, I'm looking at it horizontally and not vertically, just so you guys can see what I'm doing. With this top section here, what I'm going to have you guys do is just divide that up into 1 inch by 2 inch rectangles. So pretty easy to do that since we already have part of it measured off for us here. But on the long side, the 5-inch side, go ahead and put some little marks there so that way we can take them across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's my 5. Again, right over here. Alright, so now just go ahead and bring those over. Meet those lines together. Again, it's probably best if you work in pencil. Definitely best to work in pencil because this is probably going to end up looking terrible for me when I go in to start inking it. But you know, we'll see what happens. Y'all's will just look better than mine, and that's the goal here. It's my challenge to y'all. Okay, so now that you have something that looks like this, next just go ahead and measure this across. We want 2-inch rectangles now that we already have the 1 inches marked off. So since these 3 panels were already 4, we can just cut them in half. So right here, we're going to have 2. Here, we're going to have 6, which is the center there. And the center here between our 8 and our 12 is 10. Again, mark those right up here. And just meet the lines together once again. Okay, so this is what you should have when that is said and done. Full page will look something like this. And next we can go on to our shape.